But again, it's that storytelling element of it, so who are the 80,000 people that have shown up to Code of the West? Because if you're following like 4 6s, for instance, Taylor Sheridan's
Yeah.
branch, you probably already know about the West. You probably like the average person is not going to just be like, oh man, I love, I'm going to follow TMZ or whatever. That was a bad example. And 4 6s, they're not going to they're not going
Right.
to. So the people that are following Code of the West, some of them are of the West, some of them are from India, some of them are from New York or Boston. So what I want to do is be that sort of gateway or like lens into it for people to like we were saying, like be like, it's still here, it's still a real thing. And so I have this mandate for myself that I got from Carver when I did that, like where my goal is to let people know it's gonna be okay. That can mean a lot of different things or be applied in a lot of different ways, but showing people that like you can see some version of the sky falling or the dumpster on fire anywhere you want to look. What I think we're not doing a good job of collectively is shining lights on things that are working.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. I mean, I think you said use the word pressure valve, which I think is a great word. Um, Look, I stopped watching the news or any kind of media 2 years ago. Just was too much,
Mm-hmm.
and I would get worked up about stuff that I couldn't control. I had to completely change the way that I consumed any kind of media to rebalance my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think things like Code of the West are the reason why people started using social media in the beginning. I mostly create and post stuff having to do with the podcast, which has been an evolution for me because I know nothing about media.
Yeah.
And then I do stuff like kind of around the hunting stuff and stuff having to do that'll kind of eventually pertain to Rucklist. But I think that's why people like it, right? Is that's why people started going to Instagram in the beginning, was there was a visual aspect to it that was calming, that was pleasurable, that was enjoyable, and then it became this kind of advertising machine for Instagram. And I think there's some danger in that for people to look at it that way. Because everybody's trying to do the same thing.
Yeah,
they're all trying to
100%.
get eyeballs instead of having substance to what they're doing, which
Yeah.
I think is the biggest. That's sounds like you kind of made that evolution, with when you really started doing what you're doing with Code of West. Was like, okay, it's not about getting eyeballs; it's about how I tell the story.
Well, and everybody talks about engagement, and I've realized that I think the better word, at least for what I'm trying to do, is participation. Because engagement is the like Pavlovian, like the bell goes off, you salivate kind of thing. I think that
More cocaine
yeah,
for the rats.
yeah. Really, I mean, when you think of it as participation, then it's not like you're trying to optimize for a stimulus. You're optimizing for a lengthy or long-term interaction and then relationship. And I think that that's also part of what maybe the success of Code of the West thus far has been, is that it's a completely different approach. Like I want you to come back and tell me about your grandpa, or tell us about your grandpa. I want, if you feel comfortable talking about, when you were crawling, when you wanted to walk. Like I'm very much like, I know you could call that user generated content or whatever, but I mean, I'm looking at it from like, if we're sitting at the bar and I just walked in and you just kind of, started chatting with me, what would that look like? If you were outside and you were sitting on the bench and you were sipping coffee and somebody walked by and you said, hey, how's it going? They're like, hey, good. How are you? And started chatting with them. And they're like, you run this place? Yeah. That's my gallery. Like, oh, so those are your paintings. Yeah. That's those are my paintings. Like, you paint full time. Then it's a conversation.